Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. Well, the springtime, I'll tell you, this is in my mind the best time of the year for fishermen, and for a number of reasons. Psychologically, just because we've been sort of captivated or put in sort of a prison-like form by the winter. You know, we aren't able to get out. We aren't able to do so many things, and now we can. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today, because I've been thinking about this, as time has evolved, from the time I was a kid when it was all catch and keep, catch and take that as food for the family, basically, very simply, to what it is now with catch and release, it's changed how we look at fishing and what we use. And again, going back years ago, baits, live baits, were basically the most fundamental lure you could use to catch fish. And now people frown on it. But I got to tell you, of all the baits, of all the lures that you could use in the world, I think the number one lure is a live angleworm. And when you think about it, with worms, you can catch just about every fish that swims. I don't care. No matter what type of fish it is, they're going to eat angleworms. Don't ask me why, but because I'm not a fish. But they seem to love them. And, you know, I talked in another report about my buddy Rocky, who's talking about how worm flies are so effective for steelhead because it's something that every species of fish will feed on. And when you think about it, no matter what we like to catch, whether it's bullhead, whether it's trout, whether anything, they're going to feed on worms. If they're predator fish, they're going to feed on worms. If they're not predator fish, they're going to feed on worms. Fish need something to survive. They need to eat just like we do. And they're going to eat whatever's in their environment. But some fish, like, for example, sturgeon, or like carp, or catfish, or bullheads, or sheephead, freshwater drum, that's what a sheephead is. But all these fish will hit worms. They might not hit lures. They might not want to feed on minnows, or they don't feed on minnows. They don't have the same type of teeth structure to be able to eat those kind of foods, but they will eat worms. And boy, I got to tell you, it's the best bait that there is, day in, day out. And now I'm going to think about going trout fishing in the streams. Early in the year, like right now, when trout season opens, the water's cold, the fish aren't going to move a lot. They're going to be geared towards the bottom. They're not going to be feeding up. And a worm that comes bobbing down through the water, bouncing against the rocks or whatever, or just stays there in a pool, a quiet pool where the fish take refuge, and they see that worm. I got to tell you, you can't use anything any better. And I believe you have to get out of the sort of the spectrum of thinking that you're not being sporty by using worms. And, you know, the other criticism of this is, well, fish will swallow the worms and then they're going to be hooked in the stomach and so forth. Well, that's up to you. It's no different than if you're using artificials, you learn to strike back when you feel a tap or you feel a strike. It's the same thing with using live bait. When you feel a strike, you set the hook. And here's the other thing, the hook. There's certain hooks that will help you be able to keep those fish alive. And one of the best hooks to use if you're using bait is a circle hook. They've found that fish hooked with a circle hook tend not to swallow that hook. It stays hooked in their mouth. And a circle hook is basically a curved hook in almost a round curve rather than elliptical like other hooks that they just don't tend to swallow the same. So all you have to do is buy some circle hooks, use your favorite worm, whether it's a night crawler, a white worm, a little red worm, whatever, and this is the time to do it. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.